Mark Robinson, first team coach, AFC Wimbledon. Have you sensed a real determination to build upon the Sunderland performance the other night when we faced Crewe on Saturday now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the session was slightly different today. I took a few of the youngsters, but no, the lads are really in good spirits this morning. And I spoke to Hodges and he said the session went really, really well. So, no, I mean, they have to. I mean, they've got to take lots of positives from the other night, and especially the second half. So, we're looking forward to Saturday.
How have you found the role of being first team coach of AFC Wimbledon from Plough Lane in League One now?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm very proud. I was thankful when Wally stepped me up closer, and obviously Glyn moving me even closer now. It's a privilege, and I'm absolutely loving it. But I've got to take the emotion out of it, and I want to have an impact. So in the roles that I'm given, I want to make sure that I'm having an impact. I know I can develop young players and make young players better, and I want to transfer that now to more senior players within the role that I'm given. So now it's very proud, but I've got to be making sure that I'm having the impact that I want to have.
Just going through the headlines on Wednesday morning, looking at our own performance, but you see names crop up like Brendan Kiernan at Harrogate, Dan Adji at Oxford United, all players that you work with at academy level. How keen are yourself and the likes of Nick Daws and Glyn Hodges obviously to keep developing our young talent now? Yeah,
I mean that's massive, and that was part of going back to Wally asking me to set up the loans department, which I've done, and looking at the best way. It's always that gap, Rob, between 18 and 21. That's always the difficult gap. We've had good success, as at youth team level, when we've had lots of prospects that look really exciting, and maybe that next stage hasn't quite worked out how you'd like it to work. But it's not just here; it's the same at a lot of clubs. So we're hoping the loans department's going to bridge that gap better. It's obviously been a really difficult year with COVID, so there's been breaks to step free. There's no football at the moment, which making it difficult. So I'm just trying to get the boys out playing friendly games. But with the exceptions of the ones that have been injured, they're all playing more football than they ever did before when we was in the under-23 league, which is so key. They need to be playing regularly and playing men's football. And, it's building those relationships with clubs, like I've said before when we spoke about it, to make sure that we're getting the best loans, that they're getting what they need out of the loan and getting the reports that we need, so that we can hopefully give them a little bit more time than we have in the past, because you're not always going to get your Anthony Hartigans who are ready at 18 to go in the first team. Some will need longer, but it doesn't mean they're not good enough. They just need a little bit longer to develop.
But also we're seeing players who've come in this year, the likes of Ethan Chislett, and also more senior players like Alex Woodyard, who said they've enjoyed working with you. How much are you sort of enjoying working with more senior players and their willingness to learn more as well?
Yeah, and that's been the eye-opener for me, because obviously, when you come in, as I said, I've always worked with young players and developing, but once you get to know people, everyone's the same. Everyone wants to get better. I want to get better, and that's the way it needs to be. So I've really enjoyed it. I've taken my own little take on things with the more senior players to see how they react, and they've reacted really well. And as I said, if you don't want to get better, then you shouldn't be doing whatever you're doing. So once you get to know them and get to know them as people, everyone's the same. They want to improve. So I've really enjoyed, the odd little individual sessions that I do with the senior lads as well.
There seems to be a very good working relationship out there, and a lot of experience from the likes of Glyn Hodges, Nick Daws as well, that you're working with.
Yeah.
How much are you learning from them at the moment?
Exactly, that every day, and that's why it's so good for me. You've never. Even at youth team level, there was still always more to learn, but I felt it was ready for me, and I just want to get better myself every single day. So being in the environment, listening to the gaffer and listening to Nick, and their experience, and just being in and around the environment every day, and little things every day, it's either reinforcing your own beliefs or you see things slightly differently. So, and I'm experiencing that now in terms of the first team. When we used to speak with the 18s, it's very much about dominating possession, and now you see in another side of the way of playing, where on the other night against Sunderland, didn't have so much of the ball, but we were still very much in control of the game, particularly the second half. That's, I just want to be the very best I can be, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's great.
You've worked at academy level and under 23 level. We saw what Ryan Longman did the other night against Sunderland. Yeah. He seems to be really grasping what it needs to do to get into first team level.
Yeah, he's a fantastic lad. I mean, he's the kind of lad you couldn't be prouder if he'd come through the academy, to be honest, the way he is. He's just got a lovely innocence about him. Every day he comes in, just wants to be the best he can be. So yeah, and you know, having little individual chats with players like Ryan, where you know you forget just because they come in from a Cat 1 academy, they're just the same. They're just young lads learning the game, and you know he wants to just be the best he can be. So those little chats, you know, prove important because they're under pressure. It's a new environment for him, and you want to make him settle in. You want to make him feel comfortable in the environment. So he's learning, he's developing. So all of it, Rob, is you know, there's certain things you find in your feet all the time. So in terms of the feedback I give down to Nick on a match day, you know, that was a new experience for me. You're a little bit of pressure because you certainly don't want to be commentating during a game saying, oh, that was a bad pass. You're looking for little nuggets that you can possibly give that can give the team a little bit of momentum. So, you know, being in that environment, you've got to have the confidence to do that. So even that, you know, I've had a couple of performances myself where I've got down and I've said to Nick, oh, I don't think I helped you as much as I should. And that's all part of it. You've all got to get better together.
Someone that we both know about, of course, Saturday mornings, 18s playing out there on the training ground pitch, Jack Rodoni, he's coming along fantastically as well. Yeah. How is he, and how impressed have you been with his adaptive to first team level?
Yeah, no, he's fine. It was only a little knock the other night, so he's fine. He trained today, and he's absolutely fine. And he's a very different lad to what he was, you know, 18 months ago on his first interview. And this is what people have to remember, you know, they're young lads. And you know, if he just keeps his feet on the ground and stays humble, he'd go from strength to strength. He's got so much ability. And you know, and you just need a bit of patience with these boys. There's so many different sides to it, and we just need to be patient and let them flourish. And I'm sure we will.
So Rudy should be okay for Saturday against Crewe.
Yeah, 100%.
Any other team news to report?
No, all good. I believe I watched Nick's interview, and we were exactly the same place we was before then. So no, everyone's fighting for places. We're looking good.
Another player we've got high hopes for as well, that you know a lot about as well. Nick touched upon it the other day. Jack Madeleine, how is he?
Yeah, Jack's having a few little setbacks, to be honest. So he's had this hamstring problem, and he went off to St George's Park, and he's come back. And I worked with him today. He was one of the lads I worked with, and he's just getting this little niggle really. So again, there's a bit of frustration in there because he finished last season on such a high, making his debut. You know, so he's one that we thought would come back pre-season, and you know, you didn't know where he'd be. Would he be in and around it? Would he need another loan? And his season hasn't really kicked in yet, so you know, we've just got to look after him, manage his frustrations, and make sure he's right, because you know, with a hamstring you don't want to send him out there and then he has another setback. So he was getting close, and he's just had another little setback now. But as I said, he worked with me today, and he said it was a little bit sore, but it's just about getting him back where we need to get.
How important still is it, that working relationship you've got with the likes of Paul Callenby, Anthony Hartigan, even Will Nightingale, all of them that you've worked with at academy level?
Yeah, really, really important, and I think it's those little conversations that you can have, you know, when they're not out the side, that keeps them going. And one, you know, Paul was a little bit down the other day, which is understandable. Any player who's not playing, you don't want it, they shouldn't be happy. But just had a little bit of a chat with him to refocus. So he was due to go and have a joint session, because obviously we were going up to Sunderland and he wanted to have a session, and he had the choice of doing his own thing or going with the 18s. And what I've been doing, I've been making sure that these boys are getting specific sessions for their needs. So I said, listen, you either go off and work on your own, is that a good place to be? Or you go and remember what you are, which is a footballer, still learning your trade, and I'll make sure the session's good. And he went and he messaged me, and he absolutely loved it, because once they start playing football again, they remember that's what they love and that's what they love doing. So yeah, it's important. We're one big squad, and we've got to make sure everyone's on it, and everyone's stimulated, and everyone's ready to go whenever they're needed.
It's good to hear. And of course the challenge on Saturday being Crewe Alexandra, a team that have come up, another club that's run on a very tight budget.
Yeah.
David Artell, a very passionate manager down on the touchline. What are we preparing for on Saturday?
Like we always prepare for, Rob, you know, most of it will be about what we're going to do and how we're going to implement our style in the game, but also looking at the threats that they've got. So, you know, Glyn and Nick are very, very thorough in terms of what they're going to offer and how we can nullify that, and then at the same time how we can implement what we do on them. So, you know, nothing really changes. The styles may vary from week to week, but we have a process where we look at the opposition, so the lads are fully briefed on what to expect, and make sure that we can implement, as I said, our strengths on them. So, you know, that it's then about the lads having the confidence and having the belief to go and do that. And I think you saw the second half, Sunderland, that's exactly what we did. You know, our shape went from possibly a more defensive shape to a more on the front foot shape, and we looked very good and very threatening, although we possibly second half, you know, may have only reached 35-40% possession. We were always the team in the ascendancy, so it's about them kicking on from that now and believing in themselves as much as anything.
Robbo, it sounds like things are getting going down in the gym here at the training ground, so great to catch up with you.
Lovely, thanks Rob. Cheers.